All right, here we are, Monday night, back again. We've got somebody new in studio. Tom, you want to introduce? Oh, that's right. You used to be here. That's right.
Hey, we're Power and Speed. 908-751-0211. One of you losers call us. Nobody ever calls us.
Even if the guy owns a Cadillac, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What's his name? Cad?
I don't know.
Cad loser?
But we're working
Turbo
on
Cad?
that. Yeah, we're
Turbo
glad,
Cad.
We're glad he's happy, usually.
I'm not glad he's happy at all. Nobody's listening.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook and iTunes.
How about that?
But
And you could follow us on Twitter. I think Tom forgot to mute his device again. Could you push the mute button? Are you out of practice?
You know. All right, I am out of practice. Come on, I've been away. I've been in different time zones, and
I honestly didn't publish last week's show.
really?
No, I didn't.
was that bad?
I don't know if it was terrible or it was just me maybe overreacting a little bit, but it was pretty fucking tough to sit here by myself. It was.
Yeah, I guess it would.
It was really tough. Do you have? I mean, I can talk on a telephone forever.
I know.
Yep.
I know that.
I know. You're always like, I gotta go. But God forbid it's important for you. But that was really tough. So I'm happy to see you.
Wow.
I have to say that. Tad, I couldn't care less.
I thought you did pretty good filling that airspace last week, but
Why'd you blow him off? How sick could you possibly have been?
you get freaking banned, you get banned.
I didn't ban him, but the last thing I needed to be was sick.
Oh, so you banned him. Okay.
Well, I didn't ban him. I kept trying to fucking pry out of the retard. How sick are you?
Well, how sick were you?
I was sick enough, I got banned.
Okay.
That's simple.
All right. It's going to go down like that.
Yeah. Look, this is retard highway hasn't changed.
Hey,
since you
I'm
were
not going
gone.
to, if he gets sick, I ain't going to take the fucking brunt of it.
I hear you. Why didn't you have FUD in?
Alan was busy.
Busy?
Yeah.
Hey, hectic does multiverse.
Yeah, he like I asked him, I said, Alan had some problems, and we wish his mom the best.
Yes,
and
we do. I know about
everything else. So, yeah, I can kind of understand that.
All right. I didn't know it was that. I thought maybe it was his new job.
No.
Not yet.
I think the hour a week he's got to work, or hour a month, or whatever.
Oof.
Sorry, Alan, I got a toll on you.
It's killing him.
So Thomas,
Yeah.
how was your trip?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. We had the custom. First of all, I got a shout out to the Custom Show Emirates. My man Saeed and Nazar, they both run that show. The show's fantastic. It's every bit on the level of a SEMA show, only a bit smaller. I mean, super high end, great people, great car show. People displaying, major U.S. companies. Somebody from Summit was there. Edelbrock, obviously Manly, Comp Cams, Precision Turbo. The list it's a pretty badass show.
I was able to pick you out on the one group shot, so.
Yeah, I was the one in the green shirt or something. Everybody's wearing black.
Yeah, that was the identifying factor.
Yeah, everybody's wearing black and white, and I'm wearing like lime green and electric blue. I do that on purpose. But it was good. The engine build went well. The U.S. team, unfortunately, this year lost, and it wasn't even their fault, legitimately. They had a tuning gremlin bite them, and it was so bizarre. I felt really bad because they worked their asses off, and it was really cool. They ended up losing by 2 horsepower.
Really?
Yeah, they almost tuned it back, and the guys from the other side actually were trying to put them away, and they started going backwards.
Oh.
And Jay was trying to work a miracle, and he made some nice numbers in the end. But what happened was, I guess it's on it's on EFI Live. There is a parameter, and I may fuck this up. Actually, we could ask our tuning guy.
Yes, we can.
In case I screw it up. But there's a parameter that kicks in, like high speed enrichment, I think it's called, or something, where you go to wide open throttle, and the ECU knows you're in wide open throttle, and it switches to the high speed map or something of that nature. And for whatever reason, on their first pull, it didn't happen. And
Was it as something as simple as going out of closed loop?
No.
No?
No, it was something, it was a bug.
Okay.
And we think they, between them and Howard had seen enough stuff. Like right before the first pull, there was something wrong with the computer. So he had to unplug the OBD2 and plug it back in. And Howard thinks when he reflashed it, it corrupted just one part of the tune, because we had I mean, they drag raced the truck in the back of the building 4 times. They did all kind of burnouts and back and forth, wide open throttle pulls to get the tune close.
So now, just so everybody, if they didn't hear how this worked last time, the guys get to build a motor, and they're supplied some of the parts.
Well, they're supplied all the parts.
All the parts, okay.
And they can port the heads. They pick a camshaft. There's 3 camshaft choices. They get to pick one. But primarily the motors are identical. What you can do is you can mill heads. You can take a chance on compression. You pick the camshaft. They both pick the biggest camshaft. So really it's bearing clearances, how loose you want to run it, ring gaps, and compression. You know, both of them were like 10 above deck.
And they can put these things, they put them together, they put them in the vehicles, and they can mess around with it a little bit, but no dyno tuning.
No dyno tuning. No, they tune them. You have to go in there with the knowledge of a base map that's going to work.
Right.
And they take them out back. It's like a little more than a quarter of a mile. It's a big convention center. And they're doing blasts back and forth and tuning. And they were out there for like an hour, and then they drag raced 4 times just for fun. We got it on video. And I will say the first time I only saw one because I had to go up front, but Jay lost one. He was just late.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we hammered him a little bit, but the thing ran good and it never had a problem. It never stumbled. I mean, when the power came, it actually, well, anyway, I'll finish. So this gremlin bit them, and his first pull, the thing made like 375 horsepower, and the other guy made 397. They didn't change anything, not a thing. I think they just unplugged, replugged in, reflashed it again, and the thing made 412.
Wow.
So it's almost a 30 horsepower swing.
So they steadily were catching them because it's an average over how many pulls? It's
an average over 10.
Over 10 pulls.
So yeah, I mean, he got it to, I think he made a 429. He did something, you know, in the middle. He was trying hard, because once you're down by 22 horsepower over 10 pulls, that, you know,
yeah, it's a hard deficit to overcome if the guy doesn't have a failure.
Well, when I said they lost by 2. Sorry. When I said they lost by 2, they lost by 2 average. So that means somewhere in there, they had a 20 horsepower swing.
Yeah, they were better enough to drive the average up to only lose by 2.
Exactly. So they would have needed
higher math functions there.
Like, yeah, I know. We didn't even need Alan for that. No, they would have needed like a 440 would have won it for him.
Yeah.
But he got the 429. He went backwards once, which hurt, but it didn't matter because he didn't have enough of the 420. He would have had he had a 424, a 426, a 429 on the back 5. He would have had to have another 429 and like a 440 to win. And it you know, whatever. It sucked, but the crowd went wild when the home guy won.
I think it's a neat concept. I'm surprised they don't have something like that over here after seeing that.
Great concept. Well, we're talking about it, actually. I got to call the people from SEMA, and we're going to try to do something like that over here. And actually, SEMA is going to advise me on who to pick this year. They want to be involved, so they're going to give us or give me 3 or 4 names, and then I'm going to research them and choose one. SEMA is actually going to probably end up claiming the pick.
Yeah,
because they want to be involved, and rightly so. But it was cool.
Is that going to be all American or is open?
No, it's going to be 3 next year. Right. It's going to be an American team, a UAE team, and somebody else. Might be Australian, might be Saudi Arabian, but they're doing 3 Camaros. And the top 2 are going to advance. They're going to dyno on the second day next year. Top 2 are going to advance. They're going to put superchargers on them and then dyno again. So it'd be pretty cool. That was my idea for last year.
No, I think that would be good because it sounds like the contest is pretty well received.
It is.
I mean, that's, because for people that haven't gone to trade shows, I mean, you can only walk around and look at so much shit. I mean, you look at stuff, you talk to a guy, you look at stuff, you talk to a guy. I mean, it's kind of neat to have something like that going on.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tad's over there dying. Yeah. Are you sick again?
No, I got a hitch.
Should I banish you?
Yeah. Oh.
So, I will tell you one thing. Jay and Jason are pretty much out of their minds. Over there, the big thing is, you've probably seen it on YouTube. And anybody that's listening, you can go on YouTube and look at this. They do kind of drifting in Nissan Patrol trucks on 2 wheels. It's the rage over there.
What do you mean on 2 wheels?
2 wheels. Remember Joey Chitwood used to drive up that ramp
type deal.
Well, these guys, they don't even use the ramp. They go out in front of the crowd. They get them on 2 wheels. They do burnouts on 2 wheels. They drive around like maniacs on 2 wheels. Well, Jay and Jason got in one of those trucks after the show.
Mm-hmm.
They talked to like somebody talked the biggest guy in that arena, in that 2-wheel drive stuff, talked him into taking these guys for a ride. And the dyno operator. They asked me to go. I'm like, no, I'm good. And Jay's like, Tom, how's your vagina? I'm like, I know, dude. I was kind of bummed out because I thought they were going to drive like crazy, but he didn't go slow, but he kind of went like at a normal, non-scary pace. But that was the highlight because they got videoed or sitting out the window. Jay actually was out the window taking video and the truck's on 2 wheels.
I see a lot of crazy shit like that going on over there. Like you see the guys that are driving like 90 miles an hour and they just start throwing the car back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, does that happen because there's sand collected on the road that it makes that easy, or
I don't know.
Or are they just that fucking crazy?
Well, most of them are in Saudi Arabia. Those videos,
yeah.
And they are crazy. There's a lot of skill involved in that in the 2-wheel stuff. Jay said the guy that was driving, he was like his focus was like a laser. He had 4 people in the car.
Yeah,
and he drove on both sets of wheels. Driver's side down and driver's side up. It's pretty amazing.
Maybe I should try to get there next year because it sounds like it's a lot of fun.
Oh, dude, we had a lot of shit.
And then you had pictures on a little boat, right? What was a little boat?
Yeah. I mean it was a ship, and we had lunch on this
boat ship,
on this ship out in the
define ship, Tom.
I think it was 120.
Oh,
I mean it's badass,
big boat.
Yeah, and I mean people were driving by on other boats, and we were waving down to them and stuff. Actually, Howard. Next time Howard's on, he'll tell you what I said. We're driving back in, and we got the city view. I mean, just the backdrop is everything. The green water, the city of Dubai behind us. And I said, Howard, when we get home, we're going to hear the phrase from people. People are going to say, you're going to be somewhere, and somebody's going to say, it doesn't get any better than this. And I said, mark my words. When you hear that now, you're going to go, wait a minute. You can't say that because you weren't on that boat with me and Tom, in Dubai. It's that crazy. They really take care of us there, and it's just a good time. And they're really into their cars, man. Everything's. And by the way, I forget the number. It might have been 112. I'm not sure of the number, but it was like 112 Nissan Patrols and Toyota Land Cruisers that do that competition. They drive around.
Right.
Saeed told me that they all blow them up. They're like, that's the badge of honor. Like you blow them up. I have a video of one of them blowing up as it's driving off. The turbo, the header, and half of the exhaust system is orange. Like orange to the point like the buttons on the board.
Really?
And it's water coming out, oil coming out, and the crowd's going wild, and that they just blow them up. And all I hear is money.
Yeah. That's all I hear.
Yeah. But it's a lot. They have a lot of fun over there.
Yeah.
They really do.
Well, it looks like it. And I mean, are the people that are having the fun over there just like nothing matters anyway?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why.
But you know what?
That helps.
Anybody that's listening or anybody that downloads this, I would like you to go on Custom Show Emirates and give them a like and check it out. I mean, it's really cool. It's they're good people over there.
And of course, anybody could go to the show if they got over there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's open to the public.
You can fly in the back with Howard in the plane.
In the bottom, yeah. Steerage.
Was Jennifer Aniston on the plane?
No, she wasn't, damn it. I was excited to tell her that Mike just hasn't been able to call her.
Yeah, busy. You know how to go.
I know.
I'm working on it. I'll get some free time.
I don't know if I would have had the nerve because it would have crushed her like I told you.
Would you walk up to somebody? I'd say anything to somebody like that.
Oh, of course I would. Your name would never come out of my mouth. Don't believe me.
Christ. As you get escorted off the plane when you land.
I'd be like, bah. But anyway.
Well, I mean, next year maybe I'll be in a better position where time is a little easier, and I might even have something going over there where.
You mean better position?
Time.
What are you gonna have? Okay, time. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You don't need a bigger safe.
No, I mean, I just like a little more time because that is something I would like to do, and I'd like to spend some time there.
Well, the good thing is, they want me there for 3 weeks next year.
Wow.
So, I mean, you could come out in the beginning or you can come out, in the middle or in the end, whatever. I'm sure you're not going to stay out there for 3 weeks, but even if you come, actually the best thing to do would probably be come in the middle so you get to see the show. I also sat at like one of the head tables at the Middle East Car of the Year award ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Car and Driver, car of the year thing.
Right.
It's pretty badass. Rolls Royce gets an award. It was all the best cars as voted by the people. Sports sedan, sports convertible, SUV, blah, 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 rich guy thing. Rolls Royce got one. Volvo got a couple. Porsche got one. All the major manufacturers were there. It was really cool.
What's the primary vehicle of choice? Like, what are people driving around, daily?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has, there's Lamborghinis or GTRs, there's Ferraris.
Well, not everybody could have one. I mean, is there like a standard car of the people?
Well, the
over there?
Nissan Patrol is the primary. Almost everybody has one of them, and it's an old style. Nissan still builds them just for the UAE with a straight six, and it looks like the old style Patrol. They have two Patrols,
right?
One looks like a Infiniti QX80, or I think it is. That big truck with the low headlights.
Well, aren't these like Land Cruiser?
Yeah.
Type deals?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. The Toyota Land Cruiser and Nissan Patrol look very similar.
Okay.
They're small, boxy, short.
Yeah.
They got inline sixes.
So it's not like a 4Runner or any of that crap.
No, it's only there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And those are the things that have that straight six motor in them that people are going nuts with.
Yeah, the TB48. It's like a big 2JZ.
There are a lot of chrome and gold wrapped cars out there and stuff like that, or
no.
No?
No. There are a couple. I mean, last year I saw one that was wrapped in black velvet, which I thought was kind of bizarre.
I remember you sending that picture. So why the fuck would anybody want a fuzzy car?
Different, I guess. I don't know.
I've seen M Series BMWs in New York like that, and I'm like, whatever. Float your boat.
Not for me.
No.
Well, that's good. So anything other come out of that show, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, some business came out. I mean, me and Howard put some stuff together for him.
I had talked to you about it, but we might as well bring it up on the show. Howard was talking about the last time he was on about trying to get a deal together, to basically make aftermarket parts available and packages available to the dealers.
Yep.
And then wouldn't you know it, like 2 or 3 days after the show, I got a GM survey. There was nothing other than factory parts, or performance parts available from GM, installed by GM. And they asked some very key questions. Like, would you be more apt to do this if you could keep your warranty? Why haven't you done it yet? And warranty stuff was like kind of always the answers.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Because, it was like literally a couple days.
Yeah, I think that they might actually, be researching this in general.
So you think they listened to the show?
Maybe. Well, if they did, they'd know that I want a fucking diesel excursion.
Well, yeah, I know. Whatever happened with that? Did anybody ever call?
What was I going to do? I was here by myself. I was lucky I could fucking
I thought you could handle this by yourself.
It was not easy.
Apparently,
anybody that sits there and just talks like Rush Limbaugh or one of them guys that just sits there by himself.
Yeah, he's got a sidekick.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah. No, I couldn't imagine him doing it alone.
No, it was tough.
Mike was able to spew a lot of hatred. So
I didn't spew any hatred.
Yeah, you did.
You are good at spewing hatred. We're gonna hate on that Cadillac guy.
Come on.
What
if it's a corporation, not a person? But
we're gonna ask. I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna say that Cadillac. What's his name?
I don't know.
TurboCAD. AutoCAD.
We'd ask that to Alan. He's our CAD.
Yeah, he's our CAD guy.
Associate.
Yeah. LCAM. Well, so what do you got, Tad? What were you doing when I was gone? Other than being sick, spreading germs and shit, and going to Roy Rogers.
It's probably where I got sick from. I went to the punk rock flea market in Trenton.
Okay, that has nothing to do with cars.
Exactly.
Next.
Yeah. So, and any car related stuff, or was it just a week of food and weirdos? Is that
covers it? The food and the weirdos.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I went out because they had a big food truck thing out there. They have shrimp and lobster po' boys from a food truck. I'm like, I'm not touching it.
Okay, now seriously,
we're done.
Was I better off by myself?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got.
Oh, Scott's here.
Our guest. Hang on a minute.
Cool.
I got to find a way to lock him in. Mm-hmm. Hey, you there, buddy?
I'm here, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Very
loud
well.
And clear. Hey, Scott, this is Tom. How you doing, man?
Good to hear from you, Tom. I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. Listen, before we even start, I got a question for you. A guy posted something on our Facebook page, or maybe on your Facebook page.
On his page.
Oh, it's on his page.
I should have never told you.
You should have.
I heard you dogging on the TurboCAD.
Yeah, who is the guy? Is he like your best friend?
No. Well, I've known him for a while because he was he races at the Ohio Mile.
Okay.
Take a look at that guy's ride, man. It's pretty serious. It's like a late 70s monster Cadillac.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we looked at it. It's a pretty cool car, but...
You've seen that ride? Okay, that thing went 200 mile an hour at the East Coast Timing Association at the Ohio Mile.
Yeah, that's pretty...
Crazy for a race car, let alone something that weighs that much.
Yeah, no, it's pretty badass. It's just he said something about
good dude.
He said you're a good first guest for us, and you're not our first guest. And
I don't know where that comes from, because for the last couple hours I sat and listened to your other podcast, and now I'm sitting here freaking out like I'm like filler, maybe.
No, you're not filler. But he should have done that before he said it, because we have a habit of hating on people when they're uninformed. So. I gotta hate.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
Yeah,
I'll let him know that he needs to listen to that, because I listened to a few of them. Pretty cool stuff, man. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you, and we're glad you're here. I mean, you have a pretty impressive resume, and it's funny. We talked on the phone before, and it's funny that you were with Ray Barton, who's a pretty good friend of mine. And those guys don't let anybody tune their shit. You know, they obviously.
Ray and David, they are awesome. I've worked with them 7 or 8 years now, I want to say. Originally, I got started with them before they were, I think they were just about to get started in the drag pack stuff, which meant that they were mostly carburetor guys at that point in time. And, I mean, David, they're pretty smart up there. I think they brought in every single EFI vendor or manufacturer to kind of demonstrate their stuff. And I had been working on a customer's car, a pair of cars, that they had built the engines for, and he was forced to run EFI because of a class rule at Bonneville. If you want to take an old classic body style car, which this one had been dominating the records for classic body cars for years, if you want to run it against the modern production cars, there's a little one-liner rule that says must run aftermarket EFI. So I hooked up with him, and we went out and set a bunch of records, and David and Ray were like, hey, bring your guy up here. We want to have him tune another customer's engine that races in the Silver State Classic, which is that crazy, it's like 100-mile run on highways out in Ely, Nevada.
Yeah. That's badass.
It's almost like a real Cannonball Run. There's like classes, right?
It's nuts. Like the standing record right now is an average like 212 miles an hour.
That's insane.
That is insane.
That's average?
Jim Peruto. Yeah.
My God.
But anyway, so I worked on those, I guess, 3 or 4 customer engines for them, and then I helped them a little bit with the Drag Pack Challenger stuff they were doing. And they were real competitive. They did, the naturally aspirated V8. I can never keep up with those stock eliminator and super stock classes, man. Anyway, they did some V10s in those Drag Pack Challengers, as well as they were running the naturally aspirated combos, and they did really well in those segments. So, they're good people to work with, man. I love those guys. And you mentioned going to lunch at Osgood's. You know you're the real deal if Ray takes you to Osgood's.
That's right. That's right.
20 times.
And he has a Jack and Coke, and yeah.
Yeah, anybody that follows any of the NHRA specific stuff, like stock or super stock, I mean, you certainly know who Barton is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a guy to work with. That is absolutely one of the best. So, and for me, when somebody can work with those guys, that lends a lot of credibility.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't go there. And I mean, when you're tuning stock or super stock, we've discussed this. Yeah. This isn't like we could leave 5 horsepower on the table. Nope. I mean, this has to be as good as it gets. So that's impressive.
They work on one winter project. They're working on like valve seat angles and picking up 3 horsepower, and that's an easy $50,000 development project, but that's what you need in that class.
Yeah, people don't realize that when you've pushed these things as far as stock and super stock guys are, there aren't, like 20 horsepower gains. You could just be like, let's buy this part. This is to find those 2 or 3 are magic. That's fantastic.
Their gains are such that you have to run a series of like 20 dyno pulls on 5 different days, A/B testing just to see if what you're doing is even repeatable, at that level.
And then also I saw from some of the information that, just looking quickly, involved with some NHRA Pro Stock teams. And we've discussed the NHRA Pro Stock transition to electronic stuff a couple times. And and I realize there's some things there that specific guys you can't name or whatever, but
I've got a couple guys where I've been doing ad hoc tuning, like, hey, we're on the dyno and, we understand you're good at power supply. or possible electrical problems or solving those bugs. And I'll pick up an hourly thing after signing the non-disclosure. But I volunteered for a privateer team who's out here in Iowa, middle of flyover country near me. Dave River, he's a pretty cool guy, and he's real open. He's the guy that as soon as the NHRA made people uncover their intakes, and he's the guy that would, bring you and your 4 kids in and come crawling through my Pro Stock car and check it all out. But really cool guy. So I'm helping him out too. Most of the privateer guys are just getting online because they're just getting their parts together.
Yeah, I'd heard that Holly was late on a lot of that stuff.
Well, I can't dog on the Holly guys too much. I work for a competitor of theirs. It's been an interesting deal. I work for DiyAutotune, which is the home of the Mega Squirt ECU.
Yep.
I know probably guys, it's an interesting story there. People are like, well, how'd you end up there? We'll get to that in a minute. But, basically, I get good tech support from Holly, and we got all the parts we needed to go racing, but getting the specs for the body work, there's I wouldn't say it's a template, but they got minimum heights from the nose of the hood and stuff like that. That comes from the manufacturer, like GM and NHRA. I think that was the actual last stuff that we got to be ready to go, but we should be at Brainerd. That's what I'm shooting for.
That's good. Hey, don't misunderstand. I wasn't hacking on Holly. Actually, we got a lot of respect for Holly. Their self-tuning deal apparently is pretty cool, and we've heard a lot about it. And I know their stuff is good because I see it out in the field constantly. So no, that wasn't a knock on them. I think
I got you. No, it's okay. It's been tough for a lot of those teams to get all their stuff in order to the point where they can, get in the car. I think most of the teams are already been on the dyno and figured their stuff out. There's maybe 6 major engine builders out there and a couple other cylinder head and cam valve train guys kind of helping out as far as I can tell. But yeah, that's been pretty interesting. Nothing is nearly as secret or surprising. You'd think you'd looking inside one of those intakes, there's going to be unicorn horns and stuff, and it's not. It's totally what you'd expect, for an engine that has that little short stroke and big bore. There's nothing super surprising about it. Nothing really hard about tuning them except that big giant throttle body. The early versions had some issues, but the later versions they've kind of fixed.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, well, the reason he brought up the Holly stuff is because we were wondering how it was going to pan out with essentially one manufacturer supplying parts, and there were people that there were both sides of that, and I'm sure I lobbied hard to the point where if you go way back on my Facebook, I was kind of public maybe 6 months ago about how I was banging on the NHRA and calling all these numbers, and I finally got a hold. I compete in that Engine Masters Challenge, which is a pretty cool event. It's up there at Pro Stock development level. One of the tech inspectors there was a friend of the Barton families, and he gave me the number to call. And lo and behold, I get a hold of Graham Light, who is in Glen and Gray. First time I'd ever met either of those guys, and I lobbied really hard for non-spec ECU and for why that you didn't need to have a spec ECU. You could do the same thing they do in Broma, that you run whatever ECU you want and have a little black box that RPM and boost.
Scott, let me interrupt real quick. Are you on a mobile phone?
I am on a Bluetooth phone.
Oh, yeah, because
you're change it up. Hold on a sec.
It could be a traffic issue here.
Right.
Could be.
Yeah, could be a traffic issue here because we had all kinds of crap go through storm-wise.
You know how that is. I've changed it up here.
Yeah, no, it's still us. Do me a favor, Scott. Can you call back in 2 seconds? I'm just going to dump the call and hopefully clear the line.
I'll call you right back.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, things have been
I know.
batshit crazy.
I know the bad storm.
Yeah.
I was gone for it, but I heard it was 80-mile-an-hour winds and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
It was pretty stupid.
Well, before he calls back, I do want to shout out.
He already did call back. But
okay. Well, we'll get him. But I want to shout out to Devin Shannon. He's the guy that called me today about having Scott on, and we appreciate that. I don't know is Devin one of your buddies?
He's not on yet.
Oh,
I'll bring him back.
Yeah. You said he was back. What's that? Oh, yeah, that's right. He did. He said he took one of your classes. Yeah, he called me in the middle of the day, and he posted a message to us, and we appreciate that. We always ask listeners to get involved, and this was one time that it was really they got involved in a good way. So it's good.
Yeah, good. Devin's a good dude.
Yeah,
smart kid. So, anywho, where were we?
We were talking about fuel injection.
Talking about how I was pitching to the NHRA, and I made it pretty public on my Facebook about 6 months ago. I was beating up on those guys for non-spec ECUs because there were 5 or 6 vendors like myself who just absolutely wanted to go compete in pro stock, you know. And but the big gripe for me is you go to a pro NHRA event and there's no real vendor midway because everything's spec. So, you know, why bother putting up a booth kind of thing? I mean, I'm still lobbying hard for being able to run whatever ECU that you choose because it'd be a lot more exciting with the vendors in there competing, like it is for Pro Mod.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I think that the main reason that Holly probably did this is, you know, we talked about like the cost of injector development that went on at Formula One. You know, if you open this stuff up, you know, and look, I see both sides of this wholeheartedly. And I've been around, I used to be around NHRA, like super stock, comp, stock. I know how quickly things get away, and the good intentions of saying, well, look, we're going to open up this rule because it's going to save guys money. They don't have to go through this aggravation. And then 2 years later, it's ridiculous. So I understand it. I mean, if they had put some good parameters on it, maybe they could have done it where other people could have gotten in with an ECU. And might still come to that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure there's reasons for doing it the way that the NHRA did. It's just, it would be, you know, I've been to a lot of Pro Mod events. I've did some consulting with Proline and got to spend a little bit of time with Coughlin's engines on the dyno in Atlanta there. And, I mean, the Pro Mod stuff is open. They just have a max boost limit, a little $300 black box that logs your peak boost, and, you know, they come around and check it at the end of the run and issue a go or no go.
So you work with Petty on that?
I did, with Steve Petty, Jamie Miller, Eric Dillard, all those guys. Petty is a nice guy, man.
I know, he's a great guy. I knew Eric.
Yeah.
I knew Eric before he owned Proline.
Now, the thing about Proline, why they're so good, is their customer service.
Yep.
It's just ridiculously good.
Yep.
You know, they'll sell you an expensive engine, but they'll fly somebody out to fix it for you if there's a screw up.
Yep.
You know, they'll come to the race and thrash with you in the pits if you need it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they're racers too, man. They're good people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So.
I mean, hell, Eric won Indy, one of the first races he ever ran in.
Right.
So
they've got a bunch of records, a bunch of ET and mile an hour records for the turbo cars. They kind of set the pace the last 6 or 7 years, I think, on some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it started with Tim Lynch basically owning everything, and then it just, you know, everybody else got involved in Proline.
Now, out of all this stuff
that
this gentleman has accomplished,
the
one thing that always gets me, and I'm sure I know Tad has talked about this, whether or not his brain is going to function during this particular conversation or not.
Yeah.
The truck of Larry Larson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that to me is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I knew. Yeah. Wow, Tad, congratulations. You've joined the discussion. Yes. All right, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys are into true street cars or not, but yeah, Larry's is probably the biggest single blip on my resume. I kind of lucked into that position. I don't know if it was potential bad luck, but I've raced at Drag Week, tuned customers for Drag Week since it started. And I'm pretty proud of I think there's only been 1 year of Drag Week where I didn't have a customer win a class. But I had known Larry from Drag Week for a long time, you know, just casually. Him and Chad Reynolds hit me up at PRI. It would have been a little over 2 years ago. They said, "Hey, we're gonna try and, you know, smash the Andy Frost record." And it was really the Andy Frost number more than just the Drag Week number, because that guy's I think it's a pretty legit street car, and it runs the number, you know, and he does a lot of effort. But anyway, they approached me about this and said, "Hey, we're going to be working on this. You know, if you kind of want to come hang out, help out, since you're only 2 hours away, you know, we can always use a wiring guy or some help, whatever." Shortly after that, I hooked up with Proline. I was an independent contractor, and, you know, Proline asked me to help finish the development on this new EFI system they were developing with some guys in Brazil. That's the Fuel Tech FT500.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked on that project. Well, Proline ended up building the engine for Larry over that 6 or 8 months in between. And they said, hey, Scott, why don't we just send you out? Literally, Larson was the third engine to run that ECU in this country that I know of. I think there were some rotary guys that were testing at the same time, but as far as pushrod V8 domestic guys, there was an engine at the dyno at Proline. There was Justin Shearer, the big chief, and Larson was next. So they sent me out, just to hang out for a couple weeks with Larson. Well, we get there, and it's 8 days before drag week starts, and there is not an inch of copper in this truck. I mean, they're still, they still welding tubes and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So then it became like an all hands on deck. I ended up calling in a couple of my friends to help out. A guy named Rafael Saran, he's a Brazilian guy that worked on the Fuel Tech project. They had him stationed over here for a good year helping out. And then another guy, Mike Higginson, buddy of mine from Omaha, who helps me wire some of the race cars. And we thrashed on that thing. And I mean, we had to leave. We figured we had to show up before the gates closed to get into drag week on I think it was Sunday morning we had to be there by like 11 a.m. or something, which means we had to leave Larry's by like 6 a.m. And we started the thing on gasoline the first time at like 4:45 in the morning. I mean, we literally got it fired. We had some electrical noise issues, started around with that for an hour, then drove it about 4 miles around the block, put it in the trailer, and figured, hey, we'll test it out on alcohol, which is what we race it on, when we get to the track. Well, we make it with 5 minutes to spare, and then the truck drives in under its own power and all this stuff, and then we proceed to get ready for a test hit, and we find out that the alcohol fuel, it's a direct drive pump up on the front with a small cell up in the front. Mm-hmm. We had it plumbed backwards. And dude, I mean, it was trick. I mean, we're raping every O'Reilly's in Oklahoma, or where were we at? In Tulsa, trying to get all the stuff we needed to put together the proper plumbing for this thing. The bottom line was our very first hit in race trim on the alcohol was literally the last minute of qualifying for like the first day. Like, we were so far behind on everything, and the guys are still wiring up lights and wipers or whatever crap they needed to pass the rules. I mean, it was so last minute. It was almost ridiculous. And it's funny, I remember before he makes that first pass, of course, there's a live feed that's got damn near as many people watching as you have listening here. And I can kind of see my career is going to go in one of two directions. Because, we didn't have, Petty and those guys didn't have a similar engine combo to give me data. They had some drive shaft speed targets for cars with similar tire and gear. And I mean, of course, Dillard and Petty and those guys, they've got a WhatsApp user group. It's just like this network of geniuses from all over the world. And so, I mean, I'm posting on there. I'm like, all right, well, what are we going to do? We have no idea how much fuel to set this thing up to run. And at the time, it did not have closed loop corrections. So it's going to run what it's going to run. It's like sending a mechanical injected setup out there, with no self-corrections. I mean, it's going to do one of three things, Yeah,
you got to hit it close.
Yeah. Well, so we're doing math like crazy, and, the stuff that's hitting us a bunch of different input, and finally decided on what to put in it. And I told Larry, just stay in it until it feels like it's breaking up, And I think his very first pass was like a 690 something, getting out of it at the just a little after the 8th.
Wow.
So, and from there, once we had some data, then it's like, all right, cool, I got this from here. And we had it a little bit lean, I think, on the hit, but I mean, not lean enough that it was burning up plugs.
That is, I mean, that particular whole contest about a real street car, to me, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, driving
ridiculous.
What do they drive 500 miles or something, towing a trailer?
Between tracks, sometimes you'll do 12 to 1,600 miles on a typical drag week with about 35 to 45 hours of engine run time. And then at least 5 drag strip passes that you have to make. And what kills these things is all the runtime down the highway, not the track passes. So, generally the first 2 miles out of the first track when everybody hits the road is where maybe 40% of the cars drop out, with valve train failure or, I haven't practiced driving down the road in the hot summer with my crappy cooling system type of problems. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting, the dropouts at that event are almost ridiculous.
Are they allowed to make changes? Like could you take an inner valve spring out and just drive the thing or do you have to drive?
Totally. No, you can do whatever. You can bring all the spare parts and tools you want. You can get help from strangers along the way, but they're policing that a little bit because lately strangers along the way have also been, here, I'm going to park a transmission every 500 miles. With a stranger.
I just happen to have one of these in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a Jericho.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Now, there was a guy that had, it's like, where are you getting liberties?
Yeah.
In the middle of Oklahoma.
Some guy just had one. That's funny. No, but I mean, like what I would do is I would take all the valve spring out of it for the ride from the track to the next track.
Yeah.
A lot of guys do that.
Oh, okay.
And you got some of them have a 2-hour procedure where, you got to get ready between race and street mode or whatever. But it's interesting. If you guys swapping carburetors, or EFI guys are changing tunes, so you could, like Larry's truck, we ran 87 octane through it going down the highway.
Wow.
I mean, it's low compression. We're not running a boost. It was getting right at 10 miles per gallon pulling a 2,800-pound trailer.
That's really not that bad.
For a 6-second car.
620-inch big block with a big sloppy converter.
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of dualies don't get that. Jesus. Wow.
Right. We're pretty proud of that.
That is crazy. Crazy.
Well, I mean, it's funny. He has individual EGTs, and, so we're driving down the highway. Why not squeeze a little bit out of every hole that you can, get them all balanced out, and that thing ran really good.
That's cool.
That is very amazing.
What kind of AFR do you? Oh, you have EGTs. You don't have widebands in all four.
No, I had O2s. We had O2s in there. We had gasoline and alcohol O2. I cruised it down the road. I've learned over the years you don't live by the O2 sensor so much. Going down the highway, I'll lean it out till it starts to stumble a little bit or lose a little bit of vacuum. Put a little bit of fuel back in it, and then call that good.
Yeah.
Old school carburetor tuning, and
Yeah.
be told that's the way to find your best mix for a given load and RPM.
Yeah, well, driving down the road, you're really not going to hurt it too bad like that. But I agree that you can't live on the O2 sensor because it just tells you what happened a minute ago.
Yeah,
when
behind.
you're melting shit.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand. I know you do, but well, that's pretty cool. I mean, that truck alone is pretty cool. And so, did you say you are on a couple of current pro stock teams, or you can't talk about it?
I am. I'm working. There's 3 different groups. The one I can talk about is Dave River.
And the other 2 you can't.
I'm just kind of doing troubleshooting for them, helping out on the engine dyno and getting to that point. Maybe go to the track with them when it's time.
Got it.
But yeah. But River runs an elite power plant.
Oh, so it's good stuff.
I mean, he's got real good stuff, real good parts. We just fired his motor up the first time in the car. He's got a B motor that's, maybe it's a little bit older technology. It's maybe down 15 horsepower. And we use that kind of as a mule to fit everything up in the car and get it running. And then we are headed down to Wynnewood here in a couple of weeks to dyno his A motor on Elite's dyno and get it tuned.
Got it.
So,
is that at Lump's place?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just yourself. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I
Cool.
Nick Ferry and Brian came to our booth at PRI, and we talked to them a little bit about that little gathering that they were going to be working together. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Patterson. Those guys are all. I'm from the Midwest here. They're kind of at the southern end of Tornado Alley, and I'm at the northern end. But
yeah,
they're well known, man. They're in all different ranks of engine building. So,
well, yeah, and there's a lot of brain power there. They've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I actually flew out to California just to watch the first round of Pro Stock with the fuel injection on it. We had a
see everybody stalling out and falling on their face.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but we had a little contest here about 2 months prior to that. We all guessed what the average mile an hour was going to be. Mike's shaking his head because he hates the fact that I won.
I do. Burns my ass.
Yeah, I put a pretty good guess out there, and I was right there.
Would have thought you had a friggin' time machine.
Yeah, right. But it was cool to see the first one.
Down to the 10th? Or?
No, but I was within half a mile an hour.
Yeah, we did it like Price is Right. You can't.
Yeah.
They can't go over, and he hit it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
And that's better than I would do because I most of my stuff is a forced induction background and some nitrous, but these are Engine Masters Challenge is probably the most I've done on high end NA development, naturally aspirated stuff.
When did you start going there?
Yeah, because Tom, you were involved in that for the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you guys remember? I don't know if you're probably earlier than me. I started in 2010 or 2009. I kind of came and spectated with Danny Miller, the guy that brought that early Hemi. Do you remember this?
That I don't remember. I was involved in it, way in the beginning. They actually used to run it at World Products in New York,
right?
Because they had three.
Right, yeah.
They had 3 dyno cells, and I was working for World at the time. Doing some consulting work actually. So I was at the first 2 or 3. I don't remember. I think it was 3. Kazi won. Kazi won, and the guy from Auto Shop, Leonard. Damn, I forget his name. He passed away. Rest his soul. But that was pretty cool stuff. I mean, we'd seen stuff on.
Lamar Walden, is that who it is?
No. I know Lamar. He passed away recently too. I know him and his son.
Okay, because he's been competitive with some really archaic stuff there too.
Yeah, that's 409 stuff. The guy I'm thinking of his name is Leonard Lundquist. Maybe he's from Sweden, and his company was Auto Shop in Florida. He's a comp eliminator guy, very smart guy.
Oh yeah. Those comp eliminator guys are the ones that do the best. Masters. That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. No, I worked on a really oddball combo. It was an early Hemi. Gene Adams from the West Coast. He's a big A fueler, junior fueler guy. And he's got to be 90 years old. What a guy. He's amazing. But him and Danny Miller were just build these early Hemis, and they we got so far in 2010 we had did not finish. 2011. Now I'm trying to remember this, but 2012 was the year we showed up with that thing. We had a seriously pushing the rules type of intake. We took a Hillborn 4-hole inline throttle body. Basically, the rules guys were trying to make it illegal to have individual runner intakes. So they said, it must use a 4-hole throttle body. And they were thinking these 4150 or Dominator flange, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like a square bore type regular deal.
Yeah. Well, Danny and these guys were like, well, hey, man, why can't we use a gigantic Hillborn 4-hole throttle body that goes on top of the blower, just eliminate the blower, put it on a regular base meant for a blower, kind of take that out. And then we filled the whole thing with epoxy, and then they cored out eight individual D-shaped runners.
Wow.
And so, like, what they had, it's on my Facebook, you can check it out, but as the throttles would open to wide open, they would recess in dividers above and below that would lock the ports up, so it became 8 individual runners and no common plenum as soon as you open the throttles.
Oh, that's awesome.
We finished in second place. I mean, we were sandwiched between Bischoff. They had a late Hemi, which that thing has absolutely raped that contest. I mean, that late Hemi stuff that they build is amazing. We were right behind him, and then, right in front of, like, School of Automotive Machinists, John Kazi, those guys. And it's funny because these guys are all using high-tech stuff. We had factory head castings, a 1956 cast block. We were using Mega Squirt EFI at the time. I was doing individual O2s, so we were the first guys to show up with 8 oxygen sensors, running real-time closed loop per cylinder. Just went hardcore on that project and got a lot of good results. I mean, to this day, it's hard to track, but at the time, we had set the record. On 10-to-1 compression, we made 1.55 foot-pounds of torque per cubic inch, which translates to a BMEP, if you're into that stuff. That's actually higher than Cup Car or Formula One naturally aspirated engines. So, I mean, the airflow technology going on at that event is, world class.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. The thing that, like, I remember Tom always wanted me to get in the middle of this, and it was, I wouldn't know how to build something to kind of race on a dyno, because, like, they do some things, like Tom said, that some of these things are like detonating away and doing stuff that, like, you wouldn't even imagine.
Yeah, they're almost blowing up.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I don't know how I could wrap my head around that whole process.
The rules they came up with are pretty slick. It's average power across an assigned RPM range. So it can be, the year we won, it was 2,500 RPM to 6,500 RPM. So you can easily build a 400-inch late Hemi on 10-to-1 compression or early Hemi to make like 750, 800 horsepower, 900 horsepower maybe max effort all day long. But that thing's going to make like 100 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPM and get its ass kicked in competition. If you're not making 600-plus foot-pounds at the hit at 2,500 RPM, then you absolutely, you're going to finish mid-pack. If you're, like a 350 to 400 inch motor.
Yeah, they got to be treated like a direct drive circle track thing, like the stuff I did.
Yeah.
Because they got to be good at a restart.
Right. And that's when they used to knock. I mean, I remember Kazi stuff knocking like a diesel when it pulled down. It'd be like, and then it would make a number. And it's really cool that you talk about that Hillborn deal that you guys filled and machined and everything. I'll never forget one of the first ones that I did. They had a deck height rule, and Kazi wanted to put a long rod, short stroke deal together. And to get around that rule, he had 1/2-inch copper head gaskets made.
Right.
And he attached them to the block and honed everything with the head gaskets. Yeah. And
John is one of those guys that's always trying crazy stuff. As soon as the rules come out at PRI, he's on the dyno.
Yeah.
And so, he told us that now that he's not retired, but the shop is kind of running itself.
Yeah.
And he's there every day, and he spends a lot of time tweaking on his Engine Masters project.
Yep. Well, do you know him?
That is a guy. I do, as a matter of fact.
Me too. And he's really a smart guy, really a cool guy.
Good guy, yeah. Super cool guy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Turbo Cat's on.
I know.
Turbo Cat. Sean Moat. Good dude.
Come on, man. We were just kidding around. Don't get your panties in a wad over there.
He's all right. Yeah.
He's all right.
Yeah, he said he can't type for shit, so we'll let him slide on that.
Like probably most of the guys.
Yeah, like us.
Yours truly.
Yeah.
Now that
we did say his car was cool because it is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
His car is one of the baddest ass cars to race in the standing mile.
How big is that turbo? Is that like an 88? It looked big from the front view.
Sean, what is it? I thought it was like a 94. It's as big as Chicago.
Yeah, it's definitely big.
It's ginormous.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm going to guess that's probably during the run it's probably 1,600 horsepower combo.
Wow, it's pretty. And what does that thing weigh?
Oh, I'm going to guess 5,000 pounds plus.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got to be up there just because of the sheer size, no matter how much you did to it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's got freaking NHRA to top fuel or safety equipment in it, too. Those guys at the East Coast Timing Association, they take their rules from the Southern California Timing Association, which is Bonneville, Dry Lakes, El Mirage.
Yep.
That's complete restrainment, containment, everything, all the stuff that the NHRA guys use. So it's a pretty intense and heavy safety package in that car. Fire suppression is required and all that stuff.
Yeah, we were just goofing on it because
the one thing he obviously has on his side is aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it looks like a Lamborghini.
It's like driving a sheet of plywood down the track.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
No, it is badass. Looks like there's a lot of work put into it.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
But
now I got a question because people are gonna ask this because we put it in the little tag. Street Outlaw stuff. Do you do some of the competitors on Street Outlaws?
I do. It's to varying degrees. The first experience I had there was with Proline sent me in. I remember how this happened. We were finishing up on the engine dyno, and I was telling the guys, okay, everything works as it's spec. Go ahead and set it out in the field. Find me a car to test this on. We'll go drive it around. And I'm thinking, let's go to the junkyard and find a Ford Escort that's on its last leg, and we'll hook this thing up and just kind of give it the proof test. And if you know anything about Eric Dillard and Steve Petty, they don't do anything small. They're like, oh, we got your first test car. Are you you're going to Oklahoma City next week? Okay. And then I find out a little bit more about it, and I'm going to go visit Big Chief. I guess he had been asking them to get some chassis tuning advice from Petty, and they told him, like, we'll send Petty out if you let us put our fuel injection on the car, and we'll send a guy out there to do the installation and testing and get on the dyno with you and kind of get the car going from A to B, and then we'll put the Proline tune on the rest of the car. Well, so I went out there, and I think I spent 8 days cooking in Justin's garage. I had absolutely no interest in being on TV whatsoever. I had not seen the show too many times, just kind of, wasn't an avid follower or whatever. But no interest in being on TV, and since the cameras followed him around, we had to set it up so I'm in his shop at his house. They got the swamp coolers going and stuff, but you know how those things work. They just make you sweat harder, I guess. But it was like 120 degrees in Oklahoma in the summer. I'm in his barn, and Justin's like, man, I got this system on my car already. It works fine. He's like, you better be prepared to put this right back on if I don't like what you're installing. So it was, kind of a high-pressure gig. But we got it working really good, and that was his Rodney Butler built Pontiac motor.
Yep.
He was on his Twin 88s at the time.
Yep.
The ProMod 88 Gen 2s, and then I think we figured it was somewhere around 2,200 horse at the flywheel on gas.
Mm-hmm.
He ran that combo, I think, season 4 and all the way like halfway into season 5 before he put the car on alcohol. And then after that, him and Travis Quillen fabbed up the fuel system for that, and they had it running real quick and simple after that. So I get the occasional phone call from Justin or Monkey, his crew chief, if the car isn't starting, tech calls, stuff like that. But I also did the kamikaze car, the El Camino.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably a more interesting story. I went to work for DiyAutotune in, I guess it's a year ago, January. And those are the Megasquirt guys. And they, most people hear Megasquirt and they think, oh, this homemade ECU, piece of crap, whatever. Well, they do the kit stuff, but they actually have some commercial grade ECUs that they sell. It's just like a Fast or a Holly, meant to compete with those. And it is a damn good piece of equipment. And I've been using this stuff on the side for years. When I had customers come to me and say, hey, pick whatever ECU you want, I would always put the Megasquirt stuff on, whether I made it myself. I'm an electronics guy. I know how to work an oscilloscope, so debugging and troubleshooting circuits in an ECU is not really that big of a deal for me. Now, I'm not the guy to pick your torque converter or that kind of stuff, so mostly an electronics guy. Well, so working on the Elko, we talked to him, and he needed some kind of traction management. I think the MS3 has a kind of unique traction control that the other guys haven't really caught up with yet. It's a dual speed input. So you can do something that gives you a chassis speed or vehicle speed. It could be a front tire, or it could be there are guys playing with ground speed radar, accelerometer, gyroscope-based type stuff. But anyway, you compare that to a driven wheel speed, and then much like an OEM car, it'll analyze the split between the two and take actions to reduce the torque.
Right.
Well, which is a little bit different than how your Davis works, right? The Davis, you've got to have a pre-programmed drive shaft speed over the run. So what sucks about that is if the track goes away, and you need to know and change that pre-programmed speed for it to map out to the target. Well, so our traction control works really good in no prep and limited traction situations. So we put that on his car just as an ignition controller. I guess this would have been about a year ago, and he ran 5 tapings. And I was present for a few of them, and the car was running really, really good. We were doing his nitrous control and his ignition control and the traction inputs and a whole bunch of extra data logging on the car, and things were going swimmingly well. And then towards the end of that run, now what he told me was another EFI manufacturer with a big marketing budget came along and offered me a whole bunch of money as well as parts and an installation on the car. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I like working with you guys, but these guys this is a pretty crazy offer. And we told him, hey, you know what? We'll provide you hard parts and we'll get you down the track and we'll provide you the expertise to get it running. Someone to help you out, but we absolutely are not going to pay big bucks just to be on a Street Outlaws car.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to come out of your pocket just to be there. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just not worth it. We have a decent marketing guy. And he knows that the real value is just staying here on the car. You get 3 million people sit down to watch that show. Almost none of them are EFI buyers. You know what I mean? Just a millionth of a percent of those people.
Really, you think so? Because I would think with the level of turbocharging and other than normally aspirated, I would have thought that the EFI attach rate would have been pretty high.
I'm sure a lot of racers watch it, but every one of those racers that might be a buyer is also on social media or Yellow Bullet. You know what I mean? They're already familiar with the different systems out there.
It sounds like a sex toy.
Yeah, right. So anyway, he goes with this other system, and word I'm getting from him is that they installed it and left town, and the thing wouldn't rev past 3,500 RPM the first time, and he had to drag it out, and then it came somewhere out on the West Coast. It didn't go well. I've nothing but I keep hearing regrets, but yeah. So note to those people out there that are getting sponsors, man, make sure that you're getting help to go along with your the products.
Yeah, sometimes the free parts aren't really free parts.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Free shit is still shit. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Pardon my French, but yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Anyway.
On that traction control mechanism, is it entirely timing based? Is that how it's working, or is there a throttle body actuation or boost gate, wastegate control? I mean, how is that actually working?
So you got a couple of choices. When it decides there's slip, you can take an action. And your actions can be, if you're a nitrous car, take some duty cycle out of the nitrous or cut it off. Or take timing out. You can either retard timing or you can remove sparks. Right? You can say, okay, above a certain slip percentage, start retarding timing. If that doesn't work and it gets a little more, start cutting, say, 75% of the sparks in each cycle randomly.
Gotcha.
To me, the best way to kill torque in the powertrain on a turbo car is definitely timing, either retard or cut.
How about fly-by-wire and just shutting the blade?
I don't do drive-by-wire just as a matter of sanity. So I'm guessing you could do that, but I don't think it would kill torque quickly if you're starting to really blow the tires off on a big power car. Because, I mean, you think about it. You still got to plug them full of 30 or 40 or 70 PSI if you're pro line. You shut the throttle blades, the car will still make power for a good half a second, 3/4 of a second, which is crazy amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, like what you talked about, Tom, with the O2, you know, if you
Reading
shut something off in the cylinder, you can't get any more instant than that. That's, yeah. And
I just noticed how Motec did it for a while. They may not do it like that anymore. That was one of their claims.
Torque reduction. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there. I'm not so sure if I'd really be too thrilled. You know, I mean, I'm not too thrilled about the whole fly-by-wire thing.
I've had one of all of them stick open at some point or another. I just can't. Our guys at DIY are developing, a TAC module, but it's going to get the crap tested out of it before it gets my approval anyway. So I mean, at least we have in-house engineering working on ours. That's one of the big benefits to working for those guys is that they actually develop their boards in-house. They may have them manufactured across the street. Stuff's all made in the USA. And it's if you need something changed or you want a feature added, I can literally make a phone call and have it in the morning.
Yeah, that's a big bonus. The big bonus.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So at this point, are you doing, privateer tuning along with your work with do-it-yourself automotive, or is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm a full-timer with DiyAutotune. They mostly got me supporting the MS3 Pro.
Okay.
Which is their high-end commercial box. And doing a lot of sponsored cars. A lot of people told us, hey, women classes at Drag Week every year isn't enough. We want to see you on some class racing type cars. So, last week, we've done some other street outlaws. I just did Tina Pierce's Colorado. David and Tina Pierce.
Yep.
Got that thing lined out. It had some issues. Got it. One of our boxes put on it. Got it sorted out. But I'm also doing a Ultra Street MX235 car. It's a nitrous car. Corey Stevens, the Fox body. Brad Nagel, who is a good buddy of mine. He's worked at Tony Bischoff, Bob Brooks, Proline. He's kind of been everywhere. He's a really good engine builder, and he built the engine for this guy. And we are expecting big things. It's it's a small block Ford. It's on depending on the class, it's either got to run a direct port or a plate. I think for the Ultra Street stuff, it's a plate. He's got some cool stuff. Like we're doing the 8 O2 sensors, the correction per cylinder on that car, because that's like the biggest problem with nitrous cars that run plates.
Right.
Is distribution issues. You always get one hole that's messed up. But we just got that guy done and off the chassis dyno, and we were going to race him at the Street Car Supernats thing here in 2 weeks in St. Louis.
Okay. Very cool. So if people are looking to get in touch with you or get in touch with DIY Automotive, give yourself some plugs so people can find you.
Okay, so, my email address is scott@DiyAutotune, AUTOTUNE.com. They can email me there. They can hit up our website, DiyAutotune.com, and find out all the stuff they need to. But we sell all the different Megasport systems, from the do-it-yourself, assemble-it-yourself kits, on up to the commercial-grade race product stuff. So we got a Facebook page, DiyAutotune.com. There's also an MS3 Pro Facebook page. Search that. You can look for the hashtag MS3 Pro, and that's where most of my posts are camped out at.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it because I know a couple listeners have talked about it, and I wasn't real familiar with it.
About Megasquirt? You know the history of this?
No, man, lay it on us. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to guess about 15 years ago, a couple of really smart guys who were real tightwads up from your part of the country, shocker, they got your same accent. The guys that are like angry all the time.
That's us.
Sound like
me.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. So those guys, Al Grippo and Bruce Bowling, said, hey, we're going to do our own ECU, programmable ECU, because, you know, these things are about $75 in parts. Bruce Bowling was a engineer for Motorola, like a sales engineer, and he consulted to the automotive industry, so he knew how to put, you know, 5-volt and 3-volt processors in cars and have them work, you know, with crazy electrical systems and whatnot. And then Grippo, he just recently retired. He's a physicist engineer for the Navy. And he was doing stuff with lasers, shooting airplanes out of the sky and weird stuff like that. He's a super smart dude. But anyway, they started this. Yeah, this is like a Yahoo Mail news group or something. This is back in the mid-'90s and late 90s, I guess. And anyway, it kind of grew. They got 8 or 10 guys interested. So they went ahead and made some circuit boards and, you know, order this bunch of resistors and capacitors and assemble them yourself. Well, over time, it got to be and to this day, it's a very impressive for the do-it-yourselfer way of coming up with an EFI system that'll do basically everything that a modern system, you know, maybe under $10,000 would do. Just the downer was that you had to assemble it yourself. And so it kind of got a bad reputation because guys who had no business with a soldering iron and an oscilloscope trying to put these together just because they can get an ECU for $400, they'll do what that $4,000 one will do. You know, they try it, they get halfway through the project, it doesn't work. Well, it's a piece of crap, you know. I mean, me personally, probably the first 6 years of Drag Week, all you had for Megasquirt was assemble it yourself. So anyway, one of those intrepid guys, Jerry Hoffman, started a company, like basically out of his bedroom, pre-assembling these kits and these boards so you could buy an assembled one from him and not have to go through all those assembly steps. I mean, that exploded into what it is today. I mean, it's a DiyAutotune is a company with 20 employees. You know, I think there's like 7 or 8 of them are degreed engineers. I mean, just a lot of smart people. You know, they ship a truckload of stuff out of there every day, all around the world. These ECUs in various states, either a kit form that you'd assemble. Sometimes we'll build boards for other manufacturers who will wrap our guts in a case that's got their name on it, that
right.
kind of stuff. So it's grown to a pretty significant business. Well, he's now doing this MS3 Pro and the MS Pro plug and plays. They've got like this. You've got a 5-liter Mustang Fox body. We got an ECU that'll plug right into the Ford harness.
And that's one of the reasons I asked more about this.
Yeah.
The extent of the plug and play compatibility and how far it's going to go, because that to me is a huge market.
We just released our LS drop-on harness. So you got a guy that's swapping an LS, you know, into an old street rod or, God forbid, a Fox body Mustang or a Fairmont. And we released this thing a couple weeks ago, and I mean, we're having trouble keeping these things on the shelves. You know, it's just exploded with the plug and play, you know, that crowd with the domestic V8s. I mean, so we're working on the next round of stuff just to cover the big block Chevys with the distributor ignition and things like that. But, yeah, I mean, we're figuring out that the easier you make it for people, the more you're going to sell. The flip side of that is we've also realized you got to educate these people. So we've started doing classes probably once a quarter. I've been giving a 2-day class, basically everything you need to know about any of the Megasquirt 2, Megasquirt 3, MS Pro, MS3 Pro, how to get it online. I should plug that a little bit. That's DiyAutotune.com/EFI clinic, or you can Facebook search AMP, AMP, Absolutely Modern Powertrain, AMP EFI clinic, and that's easily found on Facebook. But anyway, it's a 2-day deal where we actually have an engine on the dyno, and every student has an ECU and a laptop and an engine simulator where we build the configuration, and then we take it back on the dyno and go through all the checks and actually get that thing started and running, which is what is missing from all the other EFI books and classes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, ours is more of a, hey, you're going to start from scratch, you're going to take this thing out of a cardboard box, and you're going to figure out why the power and grounds have to go the way they do, that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna have to go take that.
It's been.
What do you?
If you want to come, let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna do that. And when I say I'm gonna do something, I do it.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Well, next one is this weekend in St. Louis. After that, we are working on. We don't have one on the calendar after St. Louis this week, but there will be another week or two. I'm sure we'll have something scheduled. They want us to do something up by you guys.
Ooh.
Down in the southeast. Next, maybe I'll talk to you offline and you help me find a place to do it.
Yeah, I could do that, and I can get people to come to it too.
Yeah, Tom is definitely your hookup for that.
Cool.
No doubt.
Well, I'll talk to you here in a bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, I'll give you a call.
We've been trying to educate people as our sales grow in that arena, and it's going really well. We're getting good feedback from it.
Cool.
No, I like what he said, though, because there's a big thing if you're on under the Ford boards or anything and you say you want to LS swap something, instant ban. Because it's LS swap the world right now.
I know. Well, I also do coyotes and modulars, the old school modulars.
Nice.
There we go.
And we have support for those as well. I got to tune Tony Bischoff's modular when his normal tuner got sick. Rich Kolb, really good EFI guy, but he got sick, was in the hospital like 2 weeks before the event, and Tony calls up and he's like, man, bring one of those mega sports. We got to do 2 engines this year. One was a variable cam timing LS that actually has the variable cam timing. And then another was that modular motor that he did. Cosby got all the attention because he won, but Bischoff's actually made the peak horsepower number. It just didn't have it down low. But, those are some pretty cool engines, man.
No, I want to touch on something you just said there. Do you guys, with the Mega Squirt, do you have the availability to, how do I say this, like add programming locations based on a certain vehicle's requirements, like cam timing? So that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, we have some killer variable cam timing stuff. You see the Jaguar, Ford adopted the Jaguar stuff. It's been 6 or 7 years ago, I'm going to guess. And so we'd been doing that already for guys overseas. So, we'd had the VCT thing worked out before a lot of current manufacturers, or aftermarket ECU manufacturers have figured it out. They're just kind of getting into it. We've been doing VCT for a while. It is true closed loop style. So you set a target based on, like you're talking about whatever parameters. Do I want it to change when I'm in a different gear, or do I just want it to change with load and RPM? And then you set a target position, and then the ECU will add or take away duty cycle from the little oil bypass deal to hit that target cam position. So, it's pretty slick stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good points to this.
I know. He's gonna have to be our go-to EFI guy from now on.
Let me know, man. We'll demonstrate one for you guys. We'll set something up, find a car.
Well, if you get something set up, like in the East Coast somewhere, like up in the Northeast, like where all us hostile people are, we'll definitely come check that out.
I'll talk to you about it offline. I'll give you a call tomorrow about that, because I'm sure I got some people that would do it, including myself.
Cool. No, that'd be awesome. We'll set something up. Because my guy's yelling at me to, hey, get some East Coast stuff set up, North and South. I've been sticking it in kind of in the Midwest here as we kind of got up to speed, because it is not easy running a class where each student has a laptop, an ECU, and an engine simulator. Like, you're not just sitting there listening to lecture. You're like, all right, we're going to configure a MSD crank trigger style ignition signal. We're going to send it to your ECU, and I want you to get it to show me RPM. Now we're going to add a cam sync. That kind of. It's that kind of.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, if there's something close, I go to this.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll get it set up.
All right. Well, listen. On short notice, especially, I really appreciate you coming. You've been a great guest. Everybody's talking about you on our in our chat room. Everybody's loved listening to you, as we have also. So I guess we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah.
Really good to have you here, man.
Good time. I appreciate it. I'm not like a professional interview giver, but I have to go back and listen to this or see if my girlfriend's making fun of me upstairs.
No, you did. You did good, and hopefully we'll get to have you on again. But we really appreciate your time and the info.
Yeah, great. It was great having you, and I actually, and this is what happens with me. Like, I sit here and I listen, and a lot of times I'm pretty quiet because I'm taking in everything. Then I form like 70 different questions,
right,
like after we've been on for an hour.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it, out of the studio later. You'll be going, I should ask him this.
Yeah, no, he'll be back.
Yeah, we'll get you on again.
Yeah, hit me up, no problem. I'll come on anytime.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Good talking to you.
Definitely.
All right, bye.
Thanks.
See ya. That was really good.
Yeah, once again, another good guest.
I hope what's his name? Turbo Ted?
Turbo Cat.
Turbo Cat.
No, he was all right. He was talking on it. Well, you saw it.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
was just
he's good.
goofing on him.
And the car is cool. Much as we were just hating on him to do it. Because we think we can. We think we're big shots sometimes.
Yeah, no, that was that was good.
Yeah, he was good.
And to me, there's a lot of, like, looking at this, the way that this platform is. I've got a couple questions for that guy directly.
Yeah, well, I knew you'd have questions.
Yeah, well, I mean,
10
like,
minutes after we're off the air.
Kind of ulterior motive questions that I want to talk to him about.
Hey, yeah, on another note, before the music starts, Howard is pretty much going to basically talk you out of using the car that you have, so be prepared.
Well, what now? It's the only kids.
Well, whatever. I'm just don't kill the messenger.
Oh.
Or shoot the messenger or whatever. Well, forget shooting. You
got
the Kimber.
Trust me, I get nothing with that. That yellow other vehicle is sitting in the other side of the garage. They tied a battery. I don't think you were here for that. No, you weren't here for it. No, the battery just about caught fire in the car. Crazy. Were you here for that or no?
Yeah, there was.
I just don't. It's been so long.
It smelled up the whole house.
Oh yeah, it was bad. But that's the car I got. I'd probably rather use the C6 for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, he said the C5 is going to be trouble, but we'll work on that. He'll do whatever.
Fucking guy. All right. Anything else?
He's going to be a prima donna.
Tad, congratulations. You contributed a little bit again.
Yeah, but I brought up Megasquirt a while ago, and I was poo-pooed about it. So
because you're you.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to find a nice way to say it, but no.
Yeah, but you came with the Megasquirt. What's a toy for?
Mike probably dispatched you for something.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not picking on the Megasquirt guys, but the name is kind of
sounds like
misleading.
A sex toy.
It doesn't. Well, it's not that it sounds like a sex toy. I just don't know that
it does sound like a sex toy.
Yeah, it does.
Or it sounds like some FUD would be, latching onto.
No, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes the naming convention really helps.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to say a level of seriousness or whatever, but it just goes to show you gotta look into stuff.
But they have been around a long time.
Yes, they have.
Should have been Super Megasquirt.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back next week. I don't think Tom's planning on going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here next week.
And
I'm going to be in North Carolina.
Are you really?
Yeah, sorry.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Hey, I got a job, man.
All right, we'll work this out. Look, I think I'm
going to get fired.
We're taking applications. So just we'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.